Hello and welcome to this special interview. I'm Joanne Serrieh. My guest today is an Olympic swimmer, UNHCR Goodwill ambassador, and someone whose extraordinary journey from war-torn Syria to the global stage has inspired millions. So much so, her story became the subject of a powerful Netflix movie. She recently returned to Syria for the first time in a decade, and today she's with us to reflect on that emotional homecoming and the legacy she's building. Yusra Mardini, thank you and welcome to Arabiya.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. First, I want to start with your recent return to Syria. It was your first time back in 10 years. Describe what it felt like when you first arrived.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it was very emotional for me. I was in complete denial. It felt like I was dreaming. The point where I crossed the Lebanese borders and I was like in Syria, like I was on my way and I was like, I saw "Welcome to Syria." I immediately started crying, and it was more emotional that my mom was sitting next to me, and it was also her first time in 10 years. So I felt very, very grateful and lucky to be able to go back.
And you did share powerful footage of the destruction, even where your family's home once stood. What was more difficult, leaving that first time at the start of the war, or going back now and seeing all the destruction?
I think there are two completely different experiences. Also, I am in a different age in my life. When I left, I was 17 years old, and now I'm 27. So I learned a lot in the past 10 years, and I grew up a lot. And for me, when I left, I was a child. I didn't understand what sides, what's going on, politics, nothing. I just knew that I had to run. I had to save my life. And now I went back intentionally to my country to be able to help, to be able to rebuild the country. So both leaving was something that was very, very sad, but returning doesn't have to be, right? So yeah, there are two completely different experiences, and I reflect on both of them.
I want to go back to when you were leaving Syria the first time. Can you describe the days leading up to the day you actually left?
Yeah, it was honestly years. It wasn't just like specific days, but I shared another video on social media where I showed the place where the missile hit in the pool. And for me, this was insane for me to see again. But that was the day that me and my sister decided, okay, we need to risk our lives maybe one more time and live and have dignity the rest of our lives, because that day there was a missile that hit the pool. There was a bomb attack that happened on the football field where someone died, unfortunately, and then the hotel where athletes lived in also was bombed. It felt like a scene from a movie. We got in the car with my mom, and like the missiles were hitting like behind, and I would turn and I would see the glass, like I would see from the glass of the car that like the missiles are hitting, and to me I cannot acknowledge that still in my brain, to be honest. And then my sister and I think we were young and naive and brave enough to say, hey, we can do this. Like we can take this trip. And we weren't the only ones. Millions of refugees did that.
And you were saying you were young and naive. If that had happened 10 years later, now at this age, what would you do? What would you have done differently?
I'd be way more terrified. I would 100% trust myself and my sister to do it again. I feel like my father raised us to be fighters. My mom taught us that education is very important. So we were raised by tough parents, and we were taught not to give up. And I think, I don't know what the outcome of the journey would have been, but I know that I would have fought until the last breath.
And going back to your recent visit, being away for 10 years, I'm sure there's so much that you missed. What were some of the things that you did, some places that you went to see, any people that you went to see that you haven't seen in 10 years?
It was very overwhelming for me, because the reason why I went back, it was a mission with UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, and Syria's refugee crisis or displacement crisis is the #1 in the world. It's really sad. It's 30 million people were displaced within and outside of Syria. 7 million still are displaced, and 81% go back to their destroyed homes, including myself. So for me, I have a plan B, right? I have a home in Germany. I established a new life, but other people don't. So it is my duty and my responsibility to go back as a Goodwill ambassador. And we went to multiple cities in Syria. We met with families. We saw projects that UNHCR are running on the ground. It was incredibly helpful for me to see that even in the destruction, I met a young girl that came and her smile was bigger than all of us combined, right? And I was like, for these children, I want to do my best. And then I also saw my grandma. After 10 years, I saw my friends. I saw the pool. For me, the pool is more home than home. And for me, just to be able to sit and just like listen to the quietness and just the birds, as cheesy as that sounds, it gave me so much peace. But I'm not gonna also make it sound like it was only positive, because when I came back now, I've been struggling for like a few days, like with traumas resurfacing. How can I help my people? How can I move forward? I also saw the destruction to the point where I'm like, how can we recover from this? But I have so much hope that we will, and I have so much hope that people like me, UNHCR, so many organizations will rebuild the country.
We'll talk about your humanitarian work in just a bit, but still on your Syria trip, you mentioned your grandma. You didn't see her for 10 years.
Yep.
How was that reunion?
It was amazing. So my mother did not tell anyone that we're going back, and I told her maybe we should tell grandma. And then she was like, no, I want to surprise her. So I think she was in a shock. It took her a while to really fully believe that we were there, and it was she's definitely older, so it was amazing that we got to see her, and the look on my mother's face, seeing her mother after 10 years, was definitely priceless.
Yeah, of course. Another big part of your story is the pool. You mentioned that earlier, and also it was probably one of the most dramatic scenes in the film and in your life, in real life. So the missile landed in the water while you were in the water, and you're saying that pool is where your journey began as a swimmer. Describe how it felt being back where it all started for you.
Yeah, it is really emotional, because a lot of people ask about this specific missile scene, and this happened every day. It happened in the pool, it happened in my school, it happened on the streets, it happened where I live. I would see people protesting, and then someone would get shot, and then they would carry the body and protest again. So for me, it's just, it was really important to share what was happening with millions of Syrians. It was never about me telling my own story only. Me and my sister understood the responsibility of this is the story of millions of refugees around the world, not just Syrians as well. So when the missile hit the pool, in reality, I was training, and everyone ran outside of the pool, and we all went to the changing rooms, and then we took our stuff, and then we went to the gym, because the gym had a downstairs room where we all stayed. We waited for our parents to come. And then I still remember when I got to the car, to my mom, she was shouting, because she was like, are you okay? And because I was in a shock, I couldn't answer. Because when I was walking outside of the pool, it wasn't only one missile, it was multiple attacks. Why? Because every sports complex in Syria was a military base. So we were targeted all the time. Not athletes, but there was so many things that were going on that we didn't understand. So when I got to the car, before like 2 minutes of getting to the car, there was an explosion in the hotel. So all the glass flew, and I was like in a shock. I got to the car, my mom was like literally shouting, and I was like, so this is something that happened every day, unfortunately.
Yeah. And looking back at that, if there was never a civil war, and you never experienced all that trauma and that experience, how different would your life be now?
Oh my gosh, yeah, this is a very interesting question, but I don't think I can answer that one, to be honest, because it happened, and I learned from it, and I'm grateful for it. And if I stayed in Syria, I would have still had the same dream of going to the Olympic Games. I would have fought for it every day, but I don't think I would have learned as much as I learned now. Mm-hmm. I would have not been able to understand that I have a bigger role in life than just sport. And I am definitely deeply grateful for every step of the way, for meeting the refugees that I'm meeting, for being able to tell not just my story, but the stories of millions of refugees around the world. So, you know, I believe there's a universal plan for me, and I am I'm happy that I get to learn about who I am and what can I do in the world, and that I can do better and I can help people.
You mentioned your visit to Syria was actually part of a UN mission.
Yeah.
You've done incredible humanitarian work since becoming the youngest UNHCR ambassador in Goodwill ambassador in 2017. What has that experience over the years meant for you, especially now after having returned, to help rebuild your country and help your own people?
Yeah, to me, UNHCR and everyone that works in it are silent heroes, because you don't get to see everything they're doing on the ground. But I was very surprised in a positive way with everything that they're doing in Syria, because it is a very difficult country in the way of like the sanctions. How can we help with the sanctions? You know, still there are very, very heavy sanctions on Syria right now. And UNHCR is doing everything in their power on the ground to tell people that like 370,000 people went back to Syria right now, as example. But they went back to their destroyed homes. And they don't have access to food. They don't have access to clean water, to medical attention. They don't have the basic human rights. And UNHCR is there to make sure that these refugees or these returnee families are, you know, taken care of. And when I went to like a few of like the community centers and I saw the kids and I saw what they were doing, I also had like a circle where I talked to women because they come in for therapy, as example. And one of the women told me, my dream is like to continue my education, so I can come back and be a therapist in the community center. And to me, this is incredible, because you're learning how to, they're teaching refugees how to give back already, you know, with the very little that they have. So for me, the work that I do with UNHCR and being an advocate is the most important job in my life, because I understand how important this is, and I understand how important my voice is. Because if a girl saw me in the camp or saw me in Syria now, and she was 6 years old and said, Yusra could, so can I. That's everything I want in life.
Yeah. And you did meet one of those girls. You posted her video on Instagram, the one in the peacoat.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that encounter.
It makes me both happy and sad. Her home is destroyed. As you can see in the video, like there are literally holes on the walls, and then like they live in the second floor. So one thing that really concerned me is that like when they're looking out of the window, they're kids, and let's say like she's this tall and then the wall is like this tall. So this is already a concern. There is no safety. The windows are like still being built right now because like UNHCR is supporting them. So for me, I was so sad walking in, and then she came in and she was wearing her Eid clothes. And I was like, what are you wearing? And then she was like, this is my Eid outfit. And I was like, this is life. This is what I learned from refugees, that no matter how dark these times are, there's always light. There's always positivity, and this is my story. When there was no hope for me, there was sport, and there was something that's keeping me going. And now what keeps me going is people like Khulud, because she came in, she gave me the biggest smile, you know, until the moment I left. We had a conversation. She came and told me, your nails are pretty. And she like asked me questions about my life. I talked to her and her brother and sister. So in general, these are the stories and these are the people that give me motivation to do the work that I do. And I hope that I can go back and help her and help all the young children, you know, whether they're orphans or not. I hope I can give back.
And I think that's the thing about kids, right? They're so innocent. They don't really know what's really happening.
Yeah.
So something so little as a coat or your nail colors just made, you know,
absolutely
caught their attention, made them happy.
Absolutely,
yeah. So in addition to your work with the UN, you actually, just over a year ago, you launched your own Yusra Mardini Foundation. Tell us more about that and why it's important to you to support refugees of all backgrounds, not just Syrians, because that is part of the mission, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So after participating with the Refugee Olympic team in 2016 for the first time, you know, the team happened for the first time. So it was something very new. I was like, I don't know if I want to be called a refugee, I'm going home. So for me, I didn't understand the magnitude of everything going on. I didn't understand what could this team mean. So when I decided to be a part of the team and I went to the Olympics, I realized that we gave hope to the whole wide world. And I was like, oh, wait, hold on. This is not only about me anymore. This is about the kids in the camps. This is about the mothers. This is about the teachers, the architect. This is about me spreading a message of hope and this team spreading a message of hope. So I started receiving messages from young athletes, from grandmas, from people. And then when the swimmers was released, I told my team it's time. I was like, it's time to launch this foundation. And then they were like, are we ready? And I was like, we need to launch the foundation, it is time. So when we launched the foundation, we decided to, I co-founded with my coach, the one that trained me for the Olympics, and we worked together on it, and I have incredible support from UNHCR as well. So the projects that we focus on is giving access to education and sports to refugees worldwide, because my father advocated for sports in my life and my mom advocated for education, and both are so powerful. And I want to give them the opportunity to dream. I want to give them the opportunity to be able to say, I want to become a doctor. I'm like, okay, how can we do it? How can we help you? So we started with sports projects. We started with a few projects on Lesbos, as example. I also returned after 9 years last year, and I swam in the ocean where it all happened, but for a good cause. It's called Swim for Good. And you swim as a relay with refugees, volunteers, whoever wants to do it. And the distance is 10 to 12 kilometers to honor the journey that refugees go through to arrive to safety. And many don't. So that was really important for me. And then there are projects that we did in France. There's a resettlement project we're working on with the International Olympic Committee and a university in Canada where athletes get to study and work towards getting an asylum in Canada. So yeah, it is all very new. I'm learning step by step, but I think it's the best thing I've ever done.
And how do you hope to expand that foundation?
I hope to expand that foundation specifically this year in helping my country. As I mentioned earlier, it is still the biggest displacement crisis in the world, and I think there's a lot of work to be done. And for me, my dream for this year is to be able to build schools, to be able to build hospitals, to be able to help my people heal and understand that we can all work together towards a better future. But that's basically what I want for this year. In general, my dream is to be able to help every refugee around the world, even if it sounds crazy.
You can do as much as you can, I think, and it makes a difference for, even if it's one person, it makes a huge difference. So from everything that you've seen, everything that you've experienced, and we can't not mention that incredible journey that you took from Syria to Turkey and then swimming in the sea to make it to Greece. Do you think people actually understand what it means to be a refugee without having experienced it?
It depends. It depends on the person you are. It has nothing to do with a country. It has nothing to do with where you're from. I think the education about who is a refugee, why are they refugees, where are they coming from, there's a lack around the world. I think we need to educate our children who are refugees, why do they leave their homes. I mean, so many Syrian refugees are already returning home, right? And the reason they left is because they lost their homes. They lost their parents. It wasn't safe enough for them. They were thinking about their future. So for me, it's really important to educate people about what a refugee is. I did not turn into a swimmer when I arrived in Germany, right? I had the dream since I was in Syria. I was a swimmer. The doctors that left Syria, forcibly because of the conflict, because of everything that happened, they arrived in Germany and continued doing what they love, which is, being a doctor. So for me, it's, I never judge. And I never want to judge someone that's judging refugees. I want to be someone that can explain that to them and say, hey, let's have a conversation. You love our food, right? Like, you love Syrian food, you love Lebanese food, you love Middle Eastern cuisine, so give us a chance as well, right? When I got to Germany, it wasn't easy for me neither. I was like, it's cold, I don't know if I love the language, but slowly when I gave it a chance, I realized that Germany is an incredible place, and it hosted me, and I call it my second home now, right? So I think it's about being open-minded and learning who refugees are and why they leave their country.
And how much do you think social media plays a role in explaining this, this idea of refugees and what it actually means?
The most powerful tool right now, in my opinion. I think social media can, everything that like our generation or even the younger generation is seeing on social media is incredible. It's a tool of journalism, in my opinion. It's a way of bringing the truth out, and it's a way where you can educate yourself about a lot of things, but also it can be very misleading. Sometimes I saw stories about myself. I was like, wow, who is she? Like, I don't, that's not my story. So you have to be very, very careful who you're following, who are you getting your information from. But in my opinion, social media is a very powerful tool. Look at the video I just posted about my home. And I posted it because I understood the magnitude of why I need to do that. And because a lot of people can't, and I can. And my voice is heard, so I had to.
And you also showed another side of Syria, driving through the streets, the people. Tell us more about that part of Syria that's still, alive and moving.
It's a beautiful, beautiful country. A lot of people have the wrong idea about Syria, and I say it's one of, the oldest countries in the world. The oldest capital is in Syria. The culture and the history is so rich. I hope people get to, educate themselves more about it. Listen, it's not perfect, and it needs a lot of help right now. And it needs, like the streets, you can tell they're very old. They need everything needs renovation. Even like when you're driving, the ways are not like they're not fixed. And but it's just like, we love it so much. We're so proud of where we come from, and leaving as a refugee even makes you miss it more, because it's also the people. When you go back, you're like seeing your grandma, her apartment is the same, you're like going to the same place, and you're like, oh, this is a new restaurant. It wasn't there when I was there. But also, like, I was passing through places in the car, and I was like, oh my God, this is the corner, and this is that, and this is that. And the driver was like, wow, you remember a lot. And I was like, I love my country. So it's a beautiful country, and it's a very rich of culture country. So for me, I really, really hope that we can come together as one nation and build it again.
Hopefully one day. Just to wrap up, just last question. Do you plan to return to Syria one day permanently, or is Germany a new home?
Syria is my home, and Germany is my new home. You can have multiple homes, I believe. And for me, I cannot tell you like what the plan is 100%, but what I know is that I have two homes. I have people that I care about in Germany. I have people that I care about in Syria. So for me, that would be a dream, to go back and live in Syria, but I need to be realistic. The country needs a lot of help. More than 90% of the population needs humanitarian aid. So my role right now is thinking of people before thinking of myself. But I would love to. I would love to go back and, open a swimming academy. I would love to go back and be someone that rebuilds schools, as I mentioned, someone that is like a force for this country. But I have no idea what the future holds. But I think that's the situation of many, many Syrians, not just me. But what I can tell you is that we love our country very, very, very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Yusra. I really enjoyed that conversation. And I look forward to what else you're going to do with your foundation and the work that you do.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And to my viewers and the audience, I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. This was just one story of many people who have left their countries, or were forced to leave their countries to make a future for themselves, and now give back to their people. Thank you, and see you next time.